everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Welcome. I'm going to talk about Palantir here. This is the monthly chart. I'm showing the Bollinger Band here. I gotta say right off, start off the bet, I'm extremely, and I'm not gonna like hold back here. I'm extremely bullish on how Palantir is going to do over the next 12 to 18 months. Make no mistakes about it. I'm going to try to tell you why I think that is, but make no mistakes about it, I'm extremely bullish on Palantir over the next 12 to 18 months. There could be some pullback, and pullback can be extremely brutal, like 30% or something like that moving forward, and that would be the volatility that it would be needed for it to go up higher. But I'm seeing some things here that is really telling me that like you don't want to stand in front of this moving train, even if you're looking at levels, you're looking at resistance levels. It's just like catching a falling knife on the other side. If things are just extremely bearish, you're trying to catch a falling knife, you don't know when the falling knife is going to end up hitting the floor. You just don't know. Same thing here. It is basically the falling knife, but on reverse. You just don't know where this train is going to stop. It looks like it's got like a ton of momentum, which is just absolutely incredible. I'm going to talk to you about a few indicators I'm seeing. First off, this is a monthly chart. I'm showing the Bollinger Band here. Bollinger Band is basically calculated by the standard deviation of the 20-month moving average. So you're not going to see the Bollinger Band until you have like 20 candles, and that's when you actually can start calculating the moving average and the Bollinger Band together with it, right? The Bollinger Band is a way to kind of think about this. It helps that whenever price is very strong in terms of having a bull trend or a bear trend, it tends to ride up or down along the upper or the lower Bollinger Band. When things are just really bullish, it tends to just keep riding up along the upper Bollinger Band. And anything that's a little bit above the upper Bollinger Band can be considered to be overextended. And for a lot of traders, they don't like things that look overextended. And when I see things that look overextended, sometimes they see it as a way to, you know, they get like all these Bollinger Band traders, you know, all these folks are looking at this and they're like, I don't know, it's overextended. Look at what happened before. You end up going sideways. You know, it keeps on just trading in the $5 range non-stop here. It traded the $5 range for like the entire like 8 months, right? So yeah, it's overextended right now. It's going to come down. It's an opportunity short. I don't know about that because right now it looks like it has some escape velocity. I'm going to show you as to what I meant by that. If I think about Bollinger Band, there are two things I think about. Bollinger Band number one is that it's basically a way for price to kind of ride up along and kind of show you where potentially price action could be moving forward. It does serve as a little bit of a resistance. For example, like over here, if it's get a little bit too far extended, it generally gets rejected and goes down, right? It doesn't always have to be resistance if the trend is very bullish. As a matter of fact, if the trend is very bullish, if the price is very volatile, things continue to just kind of go up, it actually would drag the upper Bollinger Band up along with it, allowing the price to even go up even higher over time. And it would also expand the Bollinger Band both to the upside and also lower Bollinger Band also would expand to the downside to tell you that there's a lot of volatility that's happening right now. But or just price moving is just very strong. The way to kind of look at Palantir right now is this. Like I'm starting to see a very nice re-expansion of the monthly Bollinger Band. These things are generally very bullish. Like if you start to have the Bollinger Band expansion and the 20-month moving average is pointing up, these things are generally very bullish. Like this look really does remind me of what like Bitcoin did over here. I'm going to kind of zoom out here a little bit to kind of show you what I kind of meant by that. I've done these comparison charts over here before, but I just want to basically kind of show you what I think it is. It really reminds me of Bitcoin, the bull cycle from like 2015 all the way to like 2017. It really does remind me of that. Like, do I think it's the early stages? No. I think we're probably somewhere around the mid stages. I think we probably have a ways to go over the next like 12, maybe 18 months. What I'm showing you here is like you basically over here, because of this downtrend and downtrend deceleration, you have the Bollinger Band initially is very extended, right? Very much expanded, and then start to contract because of the sideways movement over here, and you have an initial contraction. You have some pretty impulsive price action over here, push against the upper Bollinger Band here, cause a little bit of a re-expansion of the Bollinger Band, and you have some sideways over here for a few months. You have a little bit of a recontraction, and then that's when the big move happens. But when the big move happens, that's when the monthly Bollinger Band can completely just expand out wide, with the low Bollinger Band, which can all go all the way down to like the negatives. Like you can see the low Bollinger Band is right there, right? So what am I seeing here? Again, for Bitcoin, they're in this cycle. Initially, have a little bit of contraction, expansion, contraction, and then huge expansion, right? What are we seeing here? Contraction, expansion, contraction. We might be beginning that parabolic phase right here. I really do think that it's possible that we might be starting to begin the parabolic phase, because price really have gone sideways down here at these levels. That's an accumulation level right there. That's a reaccumulation right there, and this is a breakout over here. And I don't think people are used to Palantir just keep going up like this. I think people are used to Palantir just kind of be like a little bit of a boring stock. People talk about it, it's a meme stock, whatever. Valuation is overstretched. I think we're probably somewhere over here. I really do. And I think that the next year is probably going to be a very fun year for Palantir. And we're probably going to end up, taking a lot of years of gains in valuation expansion. And we're probably going to end up getting punished for later, like how Bitcoin got punished over here by price and time. Palantir is probably going to end up getting punished over here, maybe in the triple digits. But it doesn't care right now. Like, it looks like it wants to, like, look at this. It looks like it just wants to just keep going up. And it's not just on the monthly time frame. On the weekly time frame, I'm also seeing something that is extremely bullish. I have not really seen Palantir does this, where the Bollinger Band on upper Bollinger Band and lower Bollinger Band just kind of expand very, very widely. It's like a crocodile opening its mouth trying to feed, and that's the tongue right there is pointing up. And the price is probably going to go up. The closest thing I see to that in terms of Palantir's history was this, when it really was having these like really parabolic move over here. I'm seeing that now. Over here, it was already like a very, very exhaustive move, because you have a couple candles over here that's like 3 candles over here, 4 candles, 5 candles, with one that's like, with 2 hours like completely outside of Bollinger Band. This is not sustainable. We end up getting punished through time, and that's understandable, right? So far, are we having that? No, we're not. I mean, like, we're just kind of going like a couple candles above, and then correction for a few weeks, couple candles above, maybe some correction sideways here for a few weeks. I don't know, but we're not like anywhere near as how do you say it? Anywhere near as exhaustive as this move over here. It looks like it's just now starting, because you have continued expansion of the Bollinger Band, whereas over here, after you get to like round here, you can see that the Bollinger Band probably wants to like contract again. Here, there's no sign for that. It looks like, you know why that is? The reason why you're able to have this big giant move up and down, the reason why that is because of what happened in August. Because you have the yen carry trade that got everybody scared. Because of this big giant bullish engulfing candle that has engulfed the entire price action all the way through February. Like, this is insane, right? This is a big giant bullish engulfing candle. And it happened in the setting of some macro event that was just, was just thrown out there to try to shake out weekends. Because of this big giant candle over here, it allows the volatility, it allows the standard deviation for the Bollinger Band calculation to really expand out like this. And because of that, I think it allows price to go up a lot higher. And I just don't want to get in front of the train, right? Like, there's no reason for me to want to do that. A couple other things to keep that into consideration. You're talking about volume, right? Volume is a very, very important concept. If you want to see what the trend is, whether or not it's sustainable, look at volume. Look no further than volume. This big giant green candle over here happened on increasing volume. This big giant green candle here happened on increasing volume. These are like this was like the biggest buy volume that it's ever had for the month in May of 2023. This is like, next thing you know, you have like an all-time high volume over here for the month of February 2024, right? And what are we seeing right now? We're seeing a downtrend after that. You have candles number 1, 2, and 3. This is a very perfect rising 3, by the way, because you have big giant green candle. The bulls are looking to see what the bears can do over the next 3 months. They're not able to do much. Bulls take over, right? And when bulls take over, what's happening? Look at the volume. When they're selling, it's on declining volume, right? When they're buying, it's on this huge volume, right? Right now, the buying is increasing in volume over here for 4 months straight. You cannot be that bearish if you have increasing buying volume and the Bollinger Band on the monthly is expanding like this. You're seeing the same thing here on the weekly too. Over the last 2 weeks, what happened? Look at that buy volume. Like, this is not anything to sneeze at, right? Maybe it's because the S&P 500, maybe funds are aware that they need to buy this stock now. Maybe the not quad witching, the triple witching that happened on Friday. Actually, there was a lot of bearishness that was associated with that. Why they end up publishing, hey, you have these CEOs, Alex Carb trying to sell like millions and millions of stocks. That's going to bring down a lot of downward pressure. But so far, for this week, how they end up closing ends up having a very green candle. Matter of fact, it actually looks a little bit like a Marabasu candle. It doesn't look much of a wick. It's on high volume. Funds want to be in, right? So because of this increased volume and this weekly volume, like we really haven't seen since like February 2024, or like these guys over here around May 2023 when just kind of shot up, right? We haven't seen volume like this for quite some time. This is a running train. I don't want to stand in front of it. There's absolutely no reason for me to want to stand in front of this. And there's no reason for me to sell. I do not want to buy here, and I don't have to worry about me FOMOing because I already bought a lot lower. So I'm just riding a train. This is why I catch the following night for years. But I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. All right, going back to the monthly chart here. What else am I seeing that is extremely promising? Well, a couple of things here too. One thing is, if you look at SuperIchi, you had a bullish cross here for the month of September. And bullish cross of SuperIchi is actually not easy to come by. It really does. It's a little bit delayed. Like Ichimoku Cloud, you already had the bullish cross a long time ago, like back here around January 2024. SuperIchi cross generally happens a lot later. It's just a lot slower to happen, but it happened, right? When you have something like this, and when you have the SuperIchi flip from being resistance over here to support, and this downtrend, by the way, is very unsustainable because it's just way, like, it hasn't even touched the Tenkan here for like 2-3 years in a row. Right now we're actually having a little bit of a healthy uptrend because you're using the Tenkan here as support and you're pushing price up. It's almost serving as like a perfect support to push price up, right? So this is a more sustainable uptrend than this unsustainable downtrend over here. This is a very, very bullish look. Now, to just kind of give you a little bit of example, let me see here. So if I'm looking at a very similar stock, looking at Amazon, looking at like all the way to like the dot-com bubble when it bursted, what did it happen, right? Like it just went on a downtrend, a very unsustainable downtrend, and next thing you know, it ripped the Tenkan up, right? And the bullish cross, again, it's a little bit hard to get. And you kind of went sideways here until the great financial crisis happened. And throughout the entire bull market, it just rides the Tenkan up. It just rides the Tenkan up, right? So that's what it's doing. Like, there's no reason for me to be bearish on Palantir right now. It just had a bullish cross. And right now, the SuperIchi Tenkan is serving as very, very good, very, very good support. It's let me see here. I also want to look at the Ichimoku here too, as I was mentioning that it had a bullish cross back in January. It's also riding the Tenkan up. It is a little bit overextended. Yes, it is, right? Can things get overextended away from Tenkan on a very irrational bull trend that takes years of evaluation into account? Yes, it can, because when it goes down, it can also do the same, right? But the bears end up getting punished for it later. But there's a potential, like right now the freight train is going up. So again, I don't want to stop this from happening. I do think that because of how overextended it is right now, I think the month of October is probably going to be up, but we're getting a little bit too far away from the Ichimoku Tenkan, so probably would end up having price kind of go sideways maybe around November, December, even though other stocks might probably end up flying because of like the Santa Claus rally. But you might end up having some size movement here maybe a little bit later. And that's not anything to get scared about, because even on a very, very big bull trend I was talking about, I think it's compared to like the bull market of Bitcoin from 2025, like 2015, 2017, I think we might be like right around here. And it can still go kind of sideways here for a couple months, I'm not that scared if things end up getting stalled here a little bit, but it just looks extremely bullish because the Tenkan just looks like it's just going to keep shooting up along with price. And I think we already had that accumulation and reaccumulation phase, so there's no reason for us to like be that sideways for that long anymore. I do also have to say, I'm going to get out of the volume here. I'm going to show another indicator here, which is basically Danny's favorite MCTX Plus. This basically tells you about accumulation. There is a huge amount of whale accumulation. There's almost like no retail, and the whales currently is like 94%. This is fantastic. And now, it doesn't mean that 94% of the shares being held by institution. That's not what it means. This is like a oscillator. This is like a how do you say it? It tells the trend. It tells a whale trend. And right now, there's just extremely bullish. I mean, it's been building up this extreme bullish trend for about 2 years now, right? This is basically having a very, very similar thing as what Nvidia has been doing. If you look at the MCDX, not the MACD, you look at the MCDX plus, and I'm going to get rid of the Bollinger Band here. And what you're going to see here is this really does look more like the beginning of something big. It really looks like it's like a beginning of like a longer term bull trend. And it really looks like maybe we're hitting some escape velocity here pretty soon, right? It really does remind me of like an early stage of a bull market, because we've just gotten building up here and the trend is still up. And when it's up, you can keep going up for 12 to 18 months, maybe possibly longer, right? I just think that we're just starting something here, guys. But anyway, that's another thing to look at. And then finally, one more thing too. A lot of people have been looking at the Fibonacci sequence. So if you draw the Fibonacci sequence from here to there, I'm going to bring all the numbers back, basically kind of showing you what I mean by this. And this is on log scale. I'm gonna do it on the log scale here. You're gonna see that a lot of people have been watching this Fibonacci level, the 0.786, which is around 36.64. You can look at a weekly too. A lot of people are thinking that we're probably gonna end up getting rejected there, because the 0.618 usually is a very important level. 0.786 also relatively important level, but 0.618 is a more important level. We kind of got rejected here, got close to 0.382. And then we just went up back to 0.618, and looks like we just shot up, right? Leaving a weekly gap down here. A lot of people worry about this weekly gap. They think it has to close. I don't think it has to, right? A lot of people worry about these 0.786 around 36.64. Right now we closed the week above that. So this is a very important thing, right? That doesn't mean that just because we close above that, it just means it's going to go up to the next level. No, you need confirmation, right? Just like we close above the 0.5 over here, but we end up next week and get rejected, right? So is there still a possibility for it to go down and close the gap? There is. Do I think it has to? Whenever you have something that looks as bullish as it does right now? No, I don't think it has to. That's the thing. Like at this point, I don't have to guess anymore. I don't want to sell here and try to buy back down here, or even lower it like 30. Some people are calling 25. I don't want to sell right now. I don't care. This is a running train. I do not want to sell. Even if this is a false breakout, even if we go back to the 30, even if we go back to 25, I'm not selling. Like, that's really the downside risk I'm seeing. Now, if you ask me like percentage of where price is just going to keep going up from here, probably low, right? Probably going to have some kind of back test, right? I would say maybe like, 25, 30%, it might go back down to like 30, right? I would say maybe like 10 to 20%, it might go back down to like 25. And I think maybe like 50% chances it's probably going to hang around like 35, 36, somewhere around here. You might correct a little bit sideways through time before it go up higher. Would this gap potentially get closed later on? Yeah, it could be 5 years from now. I don't know. Like, or does it even have to get closed? I don't know. Because if you look at what Tesla has done, and this is a weekly chart, how many weekly gap has Tesla opened that has not been closed yet? You have like a gap over here around 80, right? You have a gap over here at around 55, right? You kind of have a gap over here around like the high 30s, right? So you have all these gaps here that's just not closed, and I don't think they're ever gonna. That's the thing. Not all gaps have to close, even if they're weekly gaps, right? So I don't know whether or not it has to close, especially when I feel that this uptrend over here does look a little bit similar in terms of the velocity, in terms of the strength that like the Tesla uptrend had when it broke out around late 2019, 2020. Do I think it's going to 40x from here like Tesla did? No, I don't. I think that it's probably going to end up hitting some very strong resistance. If you ask me where I think price could go, I'm going to say I'm going to say that it's probably going to hit some pretty strong resistance if it ever becomes like a strong uptrend. It gets to maybe around 2026, gets to like the triple digits, probably gonna get rejected very strongly at the 21618 level, around 108. I just don't see it pushing above for that far, right? And if we end up getting up there, I might start taking some profit because I think most likely Palantir is probably going sideways for a very long time after that. But that's kind of my target. Could it potentially shoot up even higher? Sure. Where am I going to end up potentially selling Palantir? Well, let's look at this. Let's go back and look at the Bollinger Band. I do not think that the in a case like this where you have something this parabolic, I do not think that the Fibonacci levels are necessarily a good way to take profit. What I would like to do is to kind of watch and see if the Bollinger Band on the lower part continues to expand downwards. Then you can look at what happened previously, right? Like, let's say, like, look at Bitcoin, what happened previously. You on this big giant run up from 2015 2017, you can see that whenever the Bollinger Band expand down to the point that it's no longer expanding, it starts to contract around February 2018, right? Let's see what price is around February 2018. Around price of February 2018 is this. You start to have a contraction of Bollinger Band, yeah, maybe time to get up, right? I guess same thing over here. When did the Bollinger Band here starts to contract, right? It peaked around April, contract in May, right? So if you're really looking to exit something parabolic like Bitcoin or what Palantir could potentially be, look no further than the Bollinger Band, right? Bollinger Band again peaked down here April, starts to contract in May, right? So if we were sold in May, yeah, that would have been bad, you know. But the thing is, like, you can see the deceleration of the Bollinger Band expansion, like pretty drastically, right? So all I gotta say is whenever you have a deceleration, and even if you did want to sell here, you want to kind of wait and see what happens. I think usually when you have like the peak here, sometimes you can still have a little bit of like an exit strategy over the next couple months or so to try and exit, because there usually is a little bit of balance before the trend completely just dies, right? But just look at the low Bollinger Band. I'm not even seeing that the Palantir Bollinger Band has really been like that extended down just yet. So I'm really not sure whether or not this trend is exhausting. It looks like it's the beginning of a parabolic bull trend. You can see it. You can see it on the 20 month. You can see it by eye. I do not want to get in the way of this thing. I might consider starting some profit if you have the Bollinger Band expansion that goes down all the way down to zero, and I might monitor for a few months and then see what happens, right? Same thing happened with Tesla too. If you're wondering when to take profit for Tesla, just look no further than the low Bollinger Band on the monthly chart, right? Where did the low Bollinger Band peak? On the cycle 2013, 2014, right? Peaks right here, October 2013. Where was price in October 2013 for Tesla? Where are you? October 2013 for Tesla is right here. So you would probably sell it around like 11 bucks. It ultimately peaked up here around like 19, so you might have lost like a 40% gain. But imagine taking profit from like $2 all the way to like 11, right? That's some pretty tremendous gain over here. Same thing, look at the Bollinger Band here, right? Let's see where that parabolic bull cycle in 2020, when did Bollinger Band end up contracting, right? Bollinger Band contracting around January 2021. If you were to sold in January 2021 for Tesla, where would you have been at, right? In January 2021, it would have been right here. So you were sold right here, people should be around like 200-300, and price ultimately went up making another all-time here around 400 on pretty much a little bit of exhaustion up. So I gotta say that I'm not just gonna go by Fibonacci levels, because if you go by Fibonacci levels, there's a potential for you to miss a tremendous amount of gain. If you would just said, oh, it's already hitting 1.618, it's already hitting a 2.618, but the Bollinger Band keeps expanding, you don't sell. Like, you just don't sell. Not financial advice, right? If you were to sold at 2.618, I think that's fine. Like, you were to make profit already from most people probably wouldn't buy the bottom. Most people probably may buy like 10 or 20 or something like that. And you end up taking profit around like 48, good for you. You made a lot of profit, but it kept on making another like 4x after that, right? So and you would have sold, if you sold for profit around here, around January 2020, I mean, like, Bollinger Band just started to get expanded on the monthly here. Like, that this bull trend is just getting started, and bull trends, they don't just end like in a V shape down. Like, they just don't do that. usually when a bull trend happens, unless there is some like crazy black swan event, and even with like COVID, there's a black swan event, the trend continues. So unless if you have some crazy thing that happened, stocks don't just like push up like this and also just plummet down. It takes a long time for people to get euphoric and have a hard time let it go and go down with the stock because of the sentiment that it built over the last year or two or three based on how bullish it was. You don't just get like a up and then just go all the way down like that. It just doesn't work like that, right? So there's a lot of things you can kind of monitor in terms of where I think Palantir would be. Like right now, I would like to say, yeah, I might take some profit here on the, on the 1.618 or 2.618 around like 68 or 108. I don't know that. Am I gonna take all my profit around 69 or 108? I don't know that. I'm gonna have to monitor the situation, right? Anyway, this video is getting a little bit too long. I'm just very very passionate about this topic, and I'm sorry if I'm dragging a little bit long. I'm gonna stop the video now. Take care, bye.